Good afternoon and welcome to the news. My name is Remy Allen. In what appears to be a demonstration of a burning desire to fulfill his promises to Ondo State, Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, on the second day of his return from medical vacation, signed into law the creation of local council development areas. And more life-changing decisions have emanated from the governor's desk for the betterment of the people. Osrc Zaida Risala in this report takes a look at the policy actions and authorizations so far derived from the governor since his return. The report.
Behind me is the building housing the office of Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, the #1 citizen in Ondo State. Since his return from medical vacation abroad, he has swung into action within the precinct of the powers vested in him by the people and Nigeria's constitution. But as his no-show at this office since then in any way affected government stability, or has anything even emanated from his desk, let's find out from some state actors. First, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Charles Titiloye, explains the constitutional provisions that guide the conduct of the governor.
The Constitution provides that a governor of a state shall appoint commissioners and special advisors to assist him in the discharge of his function. Clearly, the Constitution will say that the duty of a governor is strictly supervisory. He is to put those main commissioners and special advisors in charge of ministries, agencies, and departments for their smooth running. And they only revert back to him in terms of supervision of those ministry. And that is why you see recently the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was amended, making it mandatory for governors and presidents to appoint their minister and commissioner within 60 days of being sworn into office. This is to make sure that governance is run effectively, both at the state and federal level. The Ministry of Justice here, we are the legal foundation of government. Regularly, there are cases that involve the assent of Mr. Governor and directive of Mr. Governor on steps to be taken to defend them. We normally get back to Mr. Governor and give us directive on steps to take.
Staff to Governor Akeredolu, Olubengale, provides an insight into actions and activities from the desk of the state's emsman, including the clearance for the commencement of the 2024 budget process.
He has been with us since 7th September. And since then, a lot has been happening. Governance, like we have expressed, some people outside might not know what is happening and they have been expressing concern. But let me assure you that as far as we are concerned in government, the Executive Council has been working hard in various areas. When you talk of health, when you talk of infrastructure development, when you talk of education, when you talk of day-to-day running of government, I want to assure the people of the state that a lot has been happening. The Commission for Budget can never prepare the budget without getting the approval of Mr. Governor for the highlights and even the revenue projection, what should be the benchmark for preparing the 2024 budget. These are areas nobody can do without getting the consent of the governor. Yes, that's why the project is on. So that's just an example. Various commissioners, the Secretary of State Government, the Head of Service, everybody has been representing the government. There is virtually nothing you can do without the authorization of the government, of Mr. Governor. There is virtually, for example, these are files I have here. You can see, look at them. We are taking these files to Ibadan. We have been taking advice from Mr. Governor, and he has been approving and treating them and sending them back here. There's virtually nothing you can do. It's been given the necessary leadership and direction. And at times where there is urgency, I do call him on phone and we discuss and give directive. The SSG does that. We all have access to him.
A check on the governor's itinerary also presents evidence of several assignments and functions delegated to top government officials by the governor. Ondo State Head of Service, Kayode Ogundele, says composition of recruitment committee for intakes into the health sector is a derivative of the governor's dictate.
Recently now, we have set up an interministerial committee on this issue of recruitment. If he has not given his go-ahead, we will not go on. The issue of vehicles that were bought, we have distributed. It was that said, go ahead. You've done that. So all these are issues that goes and they will come. They have to do with the day-to-day activities that require his approval. If there are issues that don't require his approval as delegated, we have to carry on with that. It's not everything that must go to Mr. Governor for approval. People are retiring from service. It doesn't need to go to Mr. Governor for approval. There are routine issues. Even for permanent secretaries, that has been delegated long time ago by governors to head of service to carry out. And we are doing that. In fact, we still have some files with him that I'm still expecting back. You will see his hands, you know his signature. You will know that this is Mr. Governor that treated the file.
Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Richard Olatunde, recounts the engagements of his principal from the 8th consolidate on existing success of his administration.
Mr. Governor recently approved the recruitment of over 150 young graduates at the State Internal Revenue Service. Now, the injection of this young graduate is also to improve our revenue driving on the state. Don't forget also that this administration increased revenue from a meager of say 700, 800 million naira to 3 billion per year now. I mean 3 billion per month. Mr. Governor also approved the construction of an ultra-modern tax station in Ikare and Ondo. And as I speak to you, work is ongoing there. Apart from that, there is also a revenue court that has been approved by the government that is also ongoing right now. Go to the ministries, the commissioners are there, the special advisors are working, everybody is discharging his duty. So the state is working, government is functioning, Mr. Governor is committed to achieving the redeemed agenda of his administration.
Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu had earlier in the year traveled on medical vacation, and his absence and subsequent return remains subject of discourse. But these clarifications, state actors believe, should douse any tension arising from genuine concerns of the people. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Medical experts at the Federal University Teaching Hospital Owerri are currently battling to save the eyes of the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. Ajaero was said to have been arrested by men of the Imo State Police Command while leading a protest in the state. But the command said he was only rescued from a mob and put in protective custody. Meanwhile, the NLC officials condemned the incident as a heinous act of attempted murder. The NLC head of information and publicity, Bensi Upa, described the treatment of Ajaero as an act of abduction that degenerated into attempted murder. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has put its members on alert for an industrial action over the maltreatment of the NLC President Joe Ajaero. Ajaero and other leaders of NLC and Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, among others, including some journalists, were allegedly attacked and brutalized by suspected agents of the state at the NLC Secretariat in Owerri. They were at the state secretariat in Owerri to begin the planned protest ahead of the strike today over a backlog of unpaid salaries and allowances, among other perceived sins of the Imo State government against workers in the state. Among alleged sins of the Imo State government include refusal to implement previous agreements, outstanding salary arrears, unjust declaration of workers as ghost workers, destruction of NLC State Secretariat, implementation of discriminatory pay and unpaid gratuity arrears. Speaking on the development, NUPENG's president, Prince Williams Akporia, said the union rejects the act of violence and barbarism unleashed on labor leaders and workers. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has released 58 out of 69 students of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, earlier arrested for suspected internet fraud. Earlier in the day, the anti-graft agency arrested the students in a midnight raid on hostels outside the campus. According to the commission, they were nabbed at Oduduwa Estate area of Ile-Ife following intelligence on their suspected involvement in fraudulent internet-related activities. The National Association of Nigerian Students NAS coordinator for Southwest, John Alao, confirmed the students were released. Also confirming the release, the EFCC spokesman Dele Oyewale said many of the suspects duly profiled by the command have been released, while profiling of suspects yet unreleased will be completed without further delay. Earlier, OAU students had stormed the EFCC office in Ibadan, decrying their colleagues' arrest. In the meantime, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), Ola Olukoyede, has directed that sting operations at night time be stopped in all the commands of the commission. Olukoyede gave the directive in Abuja in reaction to the arrest of 69 suspected internet fraudsters by operatives of the Ibadan zona of the commission in Ile-Ife, Osun State. The chairman also assured the public that it will not relent in its adherence to the rule of law in the exercise of its mandate. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has warned against the use of Cifran Ekwensi Center for Arts and Culture Complex in Garki, Abuja, as a drinking joint by shop owners. The Mandate Secretary, Social Development Secretariat (FCTA), Mr. Ibrahim Asari, gave the warning during an emergency meeting with business operators and shop owners at the Secretariat in Abuja. Misari thereafter designated 7:30 in the evening as the daily closing hour for raw business and shop owners operating within the complex due to security concerns. He expressed dismay at the level of lawlessness that transpired between the Secretariat when he paid an unscheduled visit to the complex. He explained that the visit was to affirm the veracity of the information at his disposal about the heinous acts that happened in the complex late hours in the night. A Rivers State High Court division in Ikwere local government area of the state has issued an interim order restraining the State House of Assembly and the Speaker of the House, Martin Amawule, from carrying out any act the impeachment of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Also restrained are the House Deputy Speaker, Dumle Mao, the Clerk of the House, and the State Chief Judge, Justice Simon Chibuzo Amadi. Presiding Judge, Justice O. Ben White, in suit filed by the Governor through his counsel, Damian Okoro, ordered and thereafter adjourned to November 14, 2023 for motion on notice. The case has been adjourned morning foreign tourists and their local guide in a national park last month. According to the Army, he was the only survivor of a nighttime military operation against a unit of the feared Allied Democratic Forces (ADF) that killed 6 of the fighters. A Briton and a South African were murdered along with their guide in an attack on October 17 while on safari in Queen Elizabeth National Park. Uganda blamed the ADF, an armed militia base in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo that is affiliated with the Islamic State group. The IS group later claimed responsibility and killed 3 Christian tourists. Uganda's deputy military spokesman, Joe Namara, a former deputy cabinet secretary,
told
No, I think I was reflecting a widespread view amongst competent people at the centre of power at the time about the calibre of a lot of senior people who were dealing with this.
With a person who denigrates
doings of the past are a cause of the greatest sorrow and the deepest regret. There were abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence committed against Kenyans as they waged and sovereignty.
70 years ago, people in central Kenya, having lost their farmland to British settlers, rebelled against the colonialists. Researchers say more than 990,000 people were executed, tortured, or maimed when the British cracked down on the rebels. Many more were detained in concentration camps. The British government compensated about 5,000 survivors. It never admitted responsibility. Ever since independence, successive Kenyan governments have kept close relations with the UK, including the government of President William Ruto.
Yes.
Many younger people on social media persist. For days, a group of activists have tried to demonstrate against Charles' visit. Police have monitored them and stopped them every time. Down! So they held a press conference instead.
It is not enough to acknowledge a painful past. Unless he apologizes, the people 6 million acres that are still under British are given back to the people.
Friday. Seun Adetola, Osrc News.
Ellen McNamara, a former Deputy Cabinet Secretary, told the COVID inquiry that Downing Street under Boris Johnson was sexist, toxic, and unlawful in a way she had never experienced in government before. In her evidence, she sets out the full and
head. Today, it was dangerously misplaced.
The sort of unbelievably bullish, we're going to be great at everything approach is not a smart mentality.